You're not undisciplined. You just never lived under a real code. Stop and think for a second. How many times have you woken up promising that today would be different, only to end the day with that bitter feeling of failure, scrolling your feed and watching other people's lives move forward, while yours stagnates in the same place? That's scary, isn't it? The silent idea that your time is slipping through your fingers and you're not building anything solid. But I need to tell you a hard truth right now. The problem isn't your lack of talent or willpower. The problem is that you were taught to depend on motivation. And motivation is a liar. It abandons you at the first difficulty. The samurai never trusted motivation because he knew that feelings oscillate like the wind. He lived under discipline. Every single day, rain or shine, whether inspired or exhausted. The difference between those who build a legacy and those who merely exist isn't luck. It's loyalty to an unbreakable system that operates above emotions. You've already been through this, feeling that you have a giant potential dormant inside, suffocated by the simple inability to maintain consistency. That agony of knowing exactly what to do, but freezing at the moment of execution. What you're about to discover may surprise you and destroy that paralysis forever. Forget the superficial productivity hacks they've been selling you until today. If you're tired of being held hostage by your own mood swings, stay with me until the end, because you're going to learn how to create a brutal daily discipline routine. I'm not talking about unnecessary suffering. I'm talking about a method that is simple, cold, and impossible to negotiate. Today, we're going to install a mental operating system that eliminates doubt and makes action automatic, shielding your mind against laziness and procrastination. Get ready, because once you see the path of the code and understand how to apply this strategic rigidity to your modern life, there's no going back. Let's start drawing this new reality now. But before we hand over the keys to this system, we need a moment of brutal honesty, the same way a warrior faces his reflection in the blade of the sword before battle. I want you to look back right now and identify that project, that dream, or that physical change you abandoned halfway through. What was the big idea that died in your hands because the motivation ran out in the second week? Write it down in the comments below. Expose that weakness, because bringing it into the light is the first step to destroying it. And did you know that every time you leave a comment like this, sharing your truth, you're helping spread the profound teachings of Japanese philosophy to more people who, just like us, seek a greater meaning? So comment below, not just to respond, but to become part of an exclusive community with total focus on transforming lives and no longer accepting mediocrity. And if you feel deep down that it's time to stop negotiating with laziness, leave your like on this video right now. If you got this far and still haven't liked it, do it. It's a simple and free gesture, but it signals to YouTube that this content has real value and needs to reach more people stuck in the procrastination cycle. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and rescue more minds. Take this second and check if you're officially part of this journey. Subscribe to the channel, because I don't want you to miss anything. The upcoming videos are part of a strategic series designed to forge discipline, shield your mindset, and prepare you to enter 2026 on another level, leagues ahead of those who keep waiting for inspiration to arrive. Now that we've sealed that commitment and you're part of the army, let's go straight to the practical structure of this code. The invisible pain, why your routine is weakening you. Let's talk about the first battle of the day, not the one that happens at the office, in the important meeting, or in the hard workout, but the one you silently lose in the first 10 minutes after you open your eyes. The hidden truth is that most of us start the day defeated. You wake up, and the first thing you do is react. You pick up your phone, react to a notification, react to the weather, react to laziness. You're not in command. You're on the defensive. Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest samurai of all time, said in his manuscripts, "Perception is strong and sight is weak." In strategy, it is important to see distant things as if they were close and to take a distanced view of close things. When you bring this into your routine, the meaning is brutal. You're so focused on the now of the comfort of the bed or the immediate pleasure of cheap dopamine that you lose sight of the long-term journey. You enter autopilot, and this is where the danger lies. That silent shame no one admits out loud. You know that feeling where the days are blending together, a gray blur where you do a lot but build nothing solid. This happens because there is a gigantic gap between knowing what needs to be done and actually doing it. You know the process, you know what to eat, you know the project that needs to get off the ground. But there is a gravitational force pulling you toward mediocrity. Musashi taught that the way is in training. If your daily training, your routine, is loose, your spirit becomes weak. There's no middle ground here. Every loose routine creates a weak man. And worse, every ignored discipline charges compound interest. That debt doesn't arrive today. It arrives 5 years from now, when you look in the mirror and realize the devastating impact of having lived reacting instead of acting. This is the true transformation we need to pursue. It's not about motivation. It's about cold decisions that cut through flesh. We're talking about the backstage of your mind, where the real war happens. When you ignore the alarm clock, you're not just sleeping 5 more minutes. You're signing a contract of defeat with yourself first thing in the morning. Musashi warned, do nothing that is of no use. Your every action either brings you closer to your goal or takes you further from it. If you live reacting, you are merely a spectator of your own life, watching time pass while others play the lead role in the story. But there's a more subtle level behind this, something that separates those who only dream from those who achieve, a key that turns in the mind when you understand that the pain of discipline is infinitely smaller than the pain of regret. I want you to take this commitment to stop reacting right now. Let's materialize this intention. Comment here below to mark the beginning of this new posture. I command my day. The samurai principle. Discipline is not a feeling, it is law. Here lies the greatest trap of modern life, and perhaps the exact reason why you feel like you're spinning your wheels in the mud. We were conditioned to believe that we need to feel like it to act. You wake up and do an emotional check-in. Am I motivated today? If the answer is no, mediocrity wins the day. But let's be honest. The samurai didn't ask, how do I feel? He asked, what is my duty today? This simple mindset shift is the master key that separates boys from men, amateurs from legends. Miyamoto Musashi, in his code of conduct, the Dokudo, wrote, do not seek pleasure for its own sake. This doesn't mean having no joy, but rather understanding that pleasure and desire are not the fuels of action. They are merely passengers in the back seat. The driver is duty. Imagine living a life where your decisions don't depend on the weather, your mood, or the Instagram feed. That's real freedom. Musashi taught that the way is righteousness. When you transform discipline into a code of honor, not a daily choice, you remove the weight of doubt. Discipline stops being a titanic effort and becomes your identity, an immutable law. You don't wake up and decide whether you're going to brush your teeth, you simply do it. Why is it different with your dreams and your training? Because you're still negotiating. The hidden truth is that the moment you hesitate, you open a negotiating table with your brain. And your brain is the best salesman in the world when it comes to comfort. It will give you 10 logical and rational excuses to stay in bed, to eat that junk, to postpone the work. And if you sit down to negotiate, you lose. The samurai didn't negotiate. He executed. He cut through hesitation with the same coldness with which he cut the air with his katana. Musashi said, between breath and strike, there can be no space for thought. In our lives, between the alarm clock and feet on the floor, there can be no space for internal dialogue. This internal transformation generates an overwhelming impact on everything around you. People begin to notice. It's not about being rigid, like a stone but fluid like water, yet relentless in your direction. You stop being a slave to your fleeting feelings and become the master of your destiny. It's in the backstage of this daily fight against your own mind that character is forged. And this is where everything begins to make sense, when you realize that true peace doesn't come from rest, but from the certainty that you kept your promise to yourself. Let's seal this understanding right now. If you've understood that the negotiation is over, comment here below. No negotiation. And look, knowing that you shouldn't negotiate is the vital first step, but having the exact method to lock that mental door when exhaustion hits is what really defines the game in the long run. It was thinking about exactly this gap between wanting and doing that I set aside a very specific complementary material called The Path of Japanese Discipline. It goes far beyond the basics. It's the practical map for transforming an ordinary mind into that unshakable mind that we so admire in the great masters. We're talking about having the cold ability to act even when motivation completely fails, even when the body asks for rest and, especially, when no one is watching. This ancestral method is designed to eliminate procrastination at the root and teach you to dominate those unstable emotions that usually sabotage the process, building that silent consistency that shapes true winners. It's not about that fleeting enthusiasm from the start of the year. It's about developing the mental power that sustains permanent results. It's no wonder this knowledge has already impacted more than 1 million people around the world. If it makes sense for you to dive deeper into this and save a lot of trial and error time on your journey, take a look at the link I left in the description. This material complements what we're discussing and could be the turning point in your practice, but a sincere warning, because it's such dense and transformative content, it could go offline or become unavailable at any moment. So if it's useful to you, take advantage while access is still open and become part of this transformation too. But regardless of any external tool, there's a more subtle level behind this that you need to master right now. The mind as a battlefield, mental technique. There's a more subtle level behind this, something most people ignore, and that's why they fail miserably. They believe they need to win over the mind before acting. They try to convince the brain that waking up at 5 a.m. is enjoyable, or that working focused for 4 hours is pleasurable. Forget it. Your biological mind will always, without exception, choose the easy path. It was programmed to conserve energy, to seek comfort, and to flee from pain. If you wait for your mind to agree with discipline, you will wait forever. The battlefield is not the world out there. It's the backstage of your own skull. Miyamoto Musashi in the Book of 5 Rings left us a hidden truth that changes everything. The only reason a warrior is alive is to fight, and the only reason to fight is to win. But who is the enemy? On most days, the enemy is the voice in your head saying, just 5 more minutes or do it later. Discipline doesn't serve to make you happy. It serves to silence that weak mind. The rigid routine works as a form of mental domination. When you set a schedule and follow it, regardless of desire, you are telling your biological brain who's in charge. Musashi taught that today is victory over your yesterday self. That's the true journey, overcoming your own internal resistance. And this is where everything begins to make sense. The great psychological key that turns the game is not trying to stop having lazy or negative thoughts. That's impossible. The secret is to understand you don't need to control thoughts. You need to control actions. You can be terrified and still take the step. You can have deadly laziness and still start the task. Action is independent of feeling. Your hands and feet obey your direct command, not your emotion. This separation between what you feel and what you do is the revelation that brings true impact. Does the samurai feel fear? Yes. Does the samurai feel exhaustion? Of course, but he acts in spite of it. The routine then stops being a prison and becomes your armor. It shields your decisions against mood swings. When you master this technique, you stop fighting your thoughts and start focusing only on movement. One foot in front of the other, one strike at a time. No drama, no internal negotiation. The transformation happens when you realize your body can execute greatness while your mind complains. Let it complain. While it screams, you build. Let's engrave this code into your mindset right now. If you've understood that it's not about what you think, but about what you do, comment here below. My actions command. The Samurai Method in 3 daily pillars. Now that you already know that internal negotiation is the enemy, we need a tactical map for the backstage of your day-to-day. Having the philosophical theory is pointless if the practice is chaotic. Musashi, in his strategic genius, simplified the complex. He didn't seek unnecessary flourishes. He sought lethal efficiency. And we're going to apply this through 3 non-negotiable pillars that will structure the chaos of your modern routine. The first is the ritual awakening. Most people start the day already owing the world, already reacting to other people's messages, emails, and urgencies. The samurai starts by paying himself. Waking up at the same time every day is not obsession, it's battle rhythm. It's telling your biological body who's in charge before the sun even rises. Before any digital noise invades your mind, seek silence and put your body in motion. Musashi said, become acquainted with every art. The first art is dominating your Own carcass early in the morning. If you win the morning, you already enter the battlefield with the advantage, but there's a more subtle level behind this. The true transformation happens when we apply the second pillar, the single action of honor. We live in the age of chronic distraction, where doing 10 things at once is mistakenly seen as virtue or productivity. That's a lie you were told. Trying to cut 10 trees at the same time results in no tree felled and a dull axe. The samurai chooses one target and delivers the perfect strike. What is the one task that, if accomplished today with excellence, will make all others seem easy or irrelevant? Identify that mission and execute it with total execution. No open tabs, no vibrating phone, no interruptions. This is where you generate real impact on your journey, focusing on depth, not the shallow breadth of multitasking. And when the sun sets, we enter the third pillar, which is frequently overlooked, the conscious closing. Don't go to sleep on autopilot, anesthetized by series or social media to escape reality. Do a cold review of your performance. Ask yourself with brutal honesty, where was I weak today? At what moment did I hesitate? Where was I firm? Musashi taught that we must observe ourselves with the same attention with which we observe the enemy. This daily self-analysis is what prevents a mistake made today from repeating tomorrow. The greatest revelations about who you truly are appear in this moment. They're of nighttime silence, not in the noise of the day. Always remember, discipline is not about doing a lot, running around like crazy with no direction. It's about doing what matters every day with the precision of a sharpened blade. Let's confirm this pact with simplicity right now. Right here below, so I know you got the vision. Do what matters. The brutal rule, never break 2 days in a row. You will fail. I know that sounds strange in content about elite discipline, but it's the hidden truth that most people hide from you. The pursuit of absolute perfection is the greatest enemy of consistency. At some point, life will knock you down. You'll oversleep. You'll eat what you shouldn't. You'll skip the workout due to exhaustion or unexpected events. The problem is never the isolated mistake. The problem is what you do immediately afterward. This is where the brutal rule enters, the one that separates amateurs from masters. Never fail 2 days in a row. If today was a lost day, tomorrow, the comeback is mandatory, immediate, and non-negotiable. Miyamoto Musashi, in his wisdom from the Dokudo, wrote, "Do not regret what you have done." This is not a free pass for irresponsibility. It's a surgical mindset strategy. Regret is dead weight you carry in the backpack of your journey. Guilt drains the vital energy you would need to fix the mistake. The amateur makes a mistake one day, punishes himself emotionally, feels like a failure, and throws everything away for an entire week. He turns a stumble into a free fall. The samurai makes a mistake, acknowledges the failure without emotion, adjusts his posture, and returns to the path the following dawn. Zero emotional punishment, zero drama, just logical decisions. Understand that real life happens backstage, far from the spotlights of unattainable perfection. The disciplined man is not perfect. He is consistent. He knows that a bad day is an accident along the route, but 2 bad days in a row are the beginning of a new, destructive habit. The impact of never allowing the second day of the mistake is enormous in the long run, as you cut the evil at the root before it installs itself in your routine. And this is where everything begins to make sense. When you remove guilt from the equation and focus only on the comeback, discipline stops being a heavy burden and becomes a course correction tool. Musashi taught, "In all things, have no preferences. Don't prefer only the perfect day. Accept the difficult day, and do your best with it." This is the revelation that transforms intention into legacy. It doesn't matter if you fell today. What defines your character is the absolute certainty that tomorrow you will be standing again, fulfilling your code. If you understood that the secret is not to never fall, but the speed with which you get back up, comment here below, "I always come back." The identity transformation, who you become. Let's face the hidden truth that separates those with temporary results from those who build a lifelong legacy. As long as you see discipline as a boring obligation or a tight outfit you need to wear every day, you're doomed to exhaustion and giving up. Willpower is a battery that runs out, and trusting in it is strategic suicide. The secret is not to force it forever, It's the complete transformation of your self-image. A crucial moment arrives on the journey where the key silently turns in the backstage of your mind. You stop being the person who is trying to be productive and naturally become the one who executes. Eliminate the verb trying from your internal vocabulary right now. Trying is the preemptive excuse for failure. It's leaving the back door open for escape. The samurai doesn't try to cut, he cuts. Miyamoto Musashi was surgical in saying, if you know the way broadly, you will see it in all things. This means discipline stops being an isolated task on the agenda and merges with your DNA. It becomes character. You don't practice discipline. You become discipline itself in flesh and blood. It's a mindset shift that generates a frightening impact on your reality. You stop negotiating with yourself because people like you don't negotiate with weakness. You wake up and execute not because you have to, but because that's what a warrior does. Musashi taught, do nothing that is of no use. When your identity changes, laziness becomes useless, almost offensive to your new nature. The revelations that arise from this state of being are powerful. You realize that real freedom is not doing what you want whenever you want, but being able to do what needs to be done, effortlessly, because it's already an intrinsic part of who you are. There's a more subtle level behind this. Society will look at you and say you're obsessed or radical, but they're only seeing the surface of your decisions. What they don't see is the absolute peace of mind of someone who no longer fights with themselves. Musashi said, the true warrior has no doubt. When discipline becomes identity, doubt disappears. You simply act, and this continuous action shapes your reality in a way that no cheap motivation ever could. If you're ready to kill the self that merely tries and assume the self that delivers, take on this new identity right now. Write in the comments to seal this. I am what I do. The warrior's commitment, positive pressure. There is a silent trap where most dreams are buried. Secrecy. You know that project you swore you'd start but kept only to yourself so as not to jinx it. The hidden truth is that discipline dies in silence. When you keep your goals hidden backstage, you unconsciously create the perfect escape route. If you quit on Tuesday, no one will know, no one will hold you accountable, and your ego remains protected and intact. That's comfortable, but comfort is the opposite of transformation. The samurai understood that honor was not merely internal, it was validated by external conduct. Miyamoto Musashi lived under a code where the given word was an absolute law, more rigid than the steel of his katana. He warned in his writings, truth is not what you want it to be, it is what it is, and you must bend to its power or live a lie. When a warrior makes a commitment before his tribe, he puts his own skin on the line. This generates positive pressure, a vital energy that pushes you forward exactly when willpower runs out. The social shame of failing publicly is a much more potent and primal fuel than the desire to win secretly. It's a strategic decision to burn the ships. You have nowhere to go back. Your journey becomes observed, and this external vigilance forces your mindset to evolve by force. The fear of judgment, which once paralyzed you, now serves as a barrier that prevents you from retreating. Musashi taught that the way is righteousness. If you said you would do it, the entire universe must see you doing it. This causes a profound impact not only on those who observe you, but mainly on how you see yourself in the mirror. Whoever doesn't commit publicly abandons in silence. It's very easy to quit in the dark of your room. It's nearly impossible to quit when you gave your word of honor to the world. And this is where everything begins to make sense. There's a more subtle level behind this. It's not about seeking applause or external validation. It's about locking the back exit door. It's about having the courage to put your integrity on the betting table every single day. Let's test the strength of your character right now. If you have the integrity to honor what you say, write here below to seal this pact. My word is law. The moral lesson, the final code. And this is where everything begins to make sense. When the dust from daily battle settles and you face the absolute silence of your own conscience, the hardest hidden truth to swallow, and the one that most people spend their entire lives trying to ignore, is that the universe is absolutely indifferent to your potential. We were taught since childhood to believe that having talent, having dreams, or having good intentions is enough to guarantee a place in the sun. But reality operates under a much colder and more brutal logic. The cemetery is full of men with brilliant potential, revolutionary ideas, and unique talents that never left the backstage of the imagination. They died waiting for the right moment. Life doesn't care about what you could do. It only responds, with mathematical precision, to what you do repeatedly. Miyamoto Musashi, at the end of his journey, living in the solitude of the Reigando cave, wrote a definitive sentence: "Do not stray from the way even for a moment." He knew that true transformation allows no pauses for ego or self-pity. Discipline is not a sporadic event. It is the air you breathe. If you disconnect from it, you suffocate spiritually. Your microscopic decisions, those made when no one is watching and exhaustion is pressing down, are the only ones that generate real impact on the structure of your reality. Musashi taught that the way is in training. There is no mystical shortcut, no magic pill. There is only the step you take right now. There's a more subtle level behind this. The final revelation that separates eternal dreamers from relentless conquerors is simple and direct. Life does not respect potential. It respects routine. It bows only before unshakable consistency. And the man who dominates the day, who conquers laziness, fear, and doubt in the first hours of the morning, dominates his own destiny. There's no magic, only the code being executed day after day. Breathe deeply right now. Feel the weight of this responsibility, leaving your shoulders and transforming into pure power of action. If you've understood that control has always been in your hands and never in luck, seal this final commitment in the comments with the phrase that defines your new life: I dominate my destiny. If you're still hearing my voice right now, that already says a lot about who you are. The vast majority of people fell by the wayside in the first few minutes, distracted by some notification or seeking empty entertainment. You stayed for the transformation. You're part of the minority that finishes what it starts, and it's exactly for minds like yours that this channel exists. And if this conversation sharpened your sword today, if you feel there was a real exchange of value and you want to honor this learning, how about strengthening our mission? If you like this content, buy me a coffee. The link is in the description of this video. It's a simple symbolic gesture, but one that keeps the energy of this project circulating and allows me to keep bringing these hidden truths with the quality you deserve. Also remember that theory without the right tool is just wasted potential. The practical manual we mentioned, the guide to shielding your mind on difficult days, is waiting for you in the first pinned comment. Don't put off until tomorrow what will define your result the day after. And if you haven't clicked the subscribe button yet, do it now. Don't do it for the number. Do it to ensure the algorithm understands that you belong to this lineage of constant growth and doesn't miss the next step of this journey. I want to know who the true warriors are, who endured the weight of this conversation until the very last second. Leave a comment below. With our final password, discipline. But watch out, the mental training doesn't stop when the screen goes dark. Discipline is a continuous flow, and interrupting it now would be cooling the steel before its time. There's a video right here on the side that complements exactly this subject and will deliver you the next piece of this strategic puzzle. Click on it and keep going with me over there.